All right, guys, welcome back to the Play On podcast. This is episode 60 with your hosts, Jerry and Jesse. As you can see from Jerry's shirt, he had a good weekend. And yeah, I think that's all we'll say about that, right, Jerry? I think we were moving on from that pretty quick.
Now we'll go ahead and start with that topic since you brought it up, Jesse. Speaking of a bottle job, you guys had everything given to you. Lamine Yamal was right. They could get scored on two goals. They don't care. They'll score a couple more and they'll win the match. What were your thoughts going up 2-0?
I saw the two goals and then I was so nervous, which surprised me because usually with Madrid, the past couple of seasons, whenever we would get a goal lead, there's sort of this confidence in the team and like as a support, knowing that we could hold on to a lead. And I feel like this game was a euphemism of Real Madrid season in general. Sparks of, or flashes of brilliance and then uh just despair happening right after because everything falls apart because of players not paying attention or not being aware of what's happening around them, or just players that shouldn't be playing at Real Madrid, really. And then eventually just failing and also our lack of decisiveness in both areas of attacking and defending.
Yeah, I knew as soon as Barca was up 2-0, and there's a whole what is it? The later half of this season is probably due to tiredness, but yeah, it's been a couple games like that where they've been down 2-0, 1-0. They've been down in the score sheet, which is not a great thing because it raises my blood pressure. Not a great thing you want when you wake up in the morning to watch a match. Uh but yeah, I know as Barca just needed one goal to gain that confidence, and as soon as was it Eddie Garcia scored the first one, I knew it was a wrap and Barcelona's gonna make a comeback. Did I expect them to score four goals in like 16 minutes? Nope. I thought it was just gonna be a long, hard fought battle for that second goal, but it didn't come too late. Pretty much like 5 minutes right after, and that was probably the best feeling in the world. And like at that point, Real Madrid was just gonna what is it? Just implode, honestly. And that's what happened with their defense.
Yeah, as we've mentioned previously, a two-goal lead's the most dangerous in football because as soon as you score that one goal, the belief is completely back. Meanwhile, the mentality of the other team gets shattered. So you either need to score another one as quick as possible or it becomes dangerous. And that happened real quick because the second goal came off of that was the Dani Ceballos one, right? Where he literally ran into Mbappe and it became a quick counter.
That was a third goal. The
That was
second goal was Lamine Yamal's like insane curler.
was that the second one? I thought that
Yeah.
was the third one.
No, the third one was
The
Dani Ceballos and Mbappe running into each other. Shout out Ceballos.
and then Lucas Vasquez being caught out of position because it went straight to Rafinha and then quick counter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Vasquez was pushed up. But I don't put too much blame on Vasquez for that thing. I think it was mostly on Ceballos for and
Yeah.
Mbappe just that communication error. Like no one
Well,
they didn't know what
Mbappe
to
was
do.
was trying to trap it and then he looked up and then he saw Ceballos right on him.
No, but also, like, if you look back at that clip, Mbappe does see him and tries to meg his own player, which it's happened before. Like, you just open your legs and let him go through. But I guess Ceballos is like, well, I don't know what he's doing, so let me try to take the ball away, and that's what caused the confusion. And Pedri just steals the ball, which he's the number one player in Europe to recover the most balls.
Yeah. And then the fourth one is
Oh yeah, the fourth one. Who would you blame at that point? Either Guler or Vasquez?
that's Vasquez. Because he gave him the ball and then it's like the most common or like the most dumbest mistake you can make as a footballer. He took his eyes off the ball before he trapped it, trying to look at what his options were, and then he missed the trap. And then Rafinha just outbodies him for positioning and then scores the goal.
Love it, dude. I love it. And I'm surprised you guys got away without a red card with the Tchouaméni. Because yeah, oh, we'll get to that right now, but once the Barca got the third goal, they started exposing Tchouaméni really badly. And also you would say Vasquez too, because he kept after the third goal, he kept pushing up even higher. Um They kept just playing long ball to Ferran Torres, and there was a point where Ferran Torres beat Tchouaméni, and it was gonna be a one-on-one, and Tchouaméni knocks him down and gets a yellow card. But I do see why it's a red yellow card and not a red card because there's this parameter that the what is it the refs take into account when it comes to like a dangerous play like a last
Hmm.
man play. It's because what was it? Ferran Torres was too wide. If he was heading towards goal,
Hmm.
it would have been a red card. But since he was like going like away from goal, you would say, uh, it's not a red card. So those people that keep saying, "Oh, it was a red card," like no, he should have probably gotten a second yellow for kicking Rafinha.
I thought that was first. Oh no, no, that was no, yes, like
Yeah. For and the header because yeah, he did like unstabilize him.
yeah. But no, I feel like besides the second goal, a lot most of the other goals came from Real Madrid mistakes because even the first one for Eric Garcia, Frank Garcia lets who got the near post? I can't remember that he whipped it back into it because
Oh, it was Ferran Torres. He got the assist.
yeah, because Frank Garcia just let him go by himself, and so Ferran Torres brought it back, and then also they after that they just let Eric Garcia wander into the box freely because I think it was Asensio who just lost his marking man or lost his man, and it was a lot of poor defending throughout the game on both sides, honestly.
Well, around Madrid side.
Well, ours was the worst, more blatant, but also I think our goals came off of Barca's backline being tired. Because as we've seen from Barca's highline being pushed up so many times that sometimes it leads to a lot of sprints. And that especially like we said this season, there's like you guys have played what 60 something games.
Hmm.
Like and a lot of the defenders get tired after that. That's why we saw Kubarsi have to get subbed out in the second half because he was exhausted.
Well, he had a stomach issue, aka what I get when I drink milk. Yeah,
Who
and I was gonna mention that too, that Flick trusts Cubarsí even though he has a stomach illness before he even trusts Araujo at this point. And then we kind of got saved. We don't know if Araujo would have been subbed in or not because Christensen ended up getting subbed in. But people are attributing it to because Araujo got a yellow card,
hmm
or some people, other people on Barca Twitter saying, "Oh, it's because he doesn't trust Araujo." We don't know the full extent of it. But I was glad Christensen got subbed in instead of Araujo, so that was cool. But yeah, there was a lot of controversies in this match, Jesse. Do you want to get into it? Barca Twitter is heavily implying that the ref tried to get Real Madrid into the game as much as they could.
I would say the ref had a good game except for the Fer or not Fermingo. I think that was probably the most controversial decision. But besides that, I feel like everything was pretty fair.
Interesting. That's an interesting point. What about the Tchouaméni handball?
I see that it's pretty clear. I think it was not a handball. Tuchemeni, it was a very close, shot from distance. It wasn't too far off his body, and the motion showed that he was trying to bring it back, and it was like barely outreach, if any at all. So I
Because
think it was
yeah,
pretty fair.
that's the controversy where it comes from, Jesse, because it was away from his body. We don't know. Well, they're saying that he was retracting his hand back closer to his body, but apparently that rule gets tossed to the side, like involuntary too close when the shot's on goal. And
Hmm.
there have been a bunch of calls. Again, VAR inconsistent. That's also like another controversial thing about VAR. One of the refs said, thank God, you know,
Hmm.
for one of the for the main goal. But yeah, it's a bunch of controversies. I think it should have been a penalty. A lot of people think there should have been a penalty. I follow this one account on Twitter that goes through a bunch of the controversial calls for like football matches, and they also assumed there was a penalty. Uh, and the same thing for the Fermin goal. That one, I thought it shouldn't. It was weird. I don't think. I think the ref was right in nullifying that goal, just because it was a handball, involuntary, like you said. Um, but Fermin recovered it pretty much like 3 seconds later, and I think it was in the right decision to call it off because it technically is still part of the same play. Because I think Real Madrid fans are there's some. Real Madrid fans on Twitter at least, saying that the I forgot which goal, the Lamine Yamal goal shouldn't have counted because Frankie de
Oh,
Jong got a
oh
handball.
yeah, 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 I saw that.
But that's the case I was gonna bring it up, saying like the Fred Bean one was rightfully nullified and the Lamine Yamal was like it was fine that they didn't call it. Just because there was like a lapse of 30 seconds after the handball would happen with Frankie de Jong compared to the Fermin one. Like it happened, Valverde recovered the ball, he got it stolen right 2 seconds right after.
Hmm.
So, the it was technically still the same play because the ball was stood in dispute by the same people. So I think that one was rightly nullified.
Yeah. Mm.
But nonetheless, insane Clasico. Roger had it in the bag, but I knew eventually that defense was going to crumble.
Yeah, I feel like it's surprising to me how this Clasico turned out because comparing to the last one that we had, it felt like both coaches learned nothing and they just reverted back to the same tactics that they used like the first couple times. I feel like nobody changed. And I feel like that's worse for Ancelotti because he went to a failing system again instead of like the changes that he made in the second half.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it falls more on Ancelotti than Flick because Flick, he was never technically beaten by Ancelotti other than the second half of El Clásico in the Copa del Rey. That's when Ancelotti actually made a tactical decision. And this one, I think he was just too scared to do too much with the back line just because he pretty much had no one.
Yeah,
And he even said it in the press conference. That's the first thing he said. Like I have four defenders.
and I feel like he reverted to previous tactics because if you look at the match, there's again I've been saying there was such a disconnect between that back line and the forward line, and there was no one to connect it to. And until like the second half with Modric came in and it was
Hmm.
sort of reverted a little bit back. But he made basically Valverde sort of become a fifth person on that back line because even on the goal kicks, he was the one taking them. So
Hmm.
he was the deepest midfielder. So if you're already going to do that from the start, might as well have just started him at right back and then just brought have started Luka Modric because Ceballos looked overwhelmed being by himself in that midfielder. Because even then, Jude was be they had Jude go for like the goal kicks as the post player because Mbappe, as we know, all know, he doesn't like physicality like that.
Hmm.
So he doesn't like jumping up against for air balls.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that Vinicius Ballon d'Or happened, got shit on, and it's pretty much having the worst season since since first arriving to Real Madrid in the first team. Because that's what like it pretty much reminds me of. Because there's glimpses of him like being insane. Like what was the second Mbappe goal where he did the three toe pass?
Hmm.
That pass is insane. And then after that, there was like nothing. Like there's that clip of him like trying to control the ball and it just has a horrible touch. People are comparing it to speed, having a
Hmm.
touch like that. But yeah, Vinicius had a huge fall off in form, and his confidence is just not there.
I feel like that attributes to him trying to do too much because at certain points he keeps on trying to
Play hero
he's
ball.
yeah he plays hero ball but he's making the wrong decisions tactically because sometimes I if you saw the shot in the second half where he just it was a P roller like Mbappe was right there next to him. He could have just passed it off, tried going for a quick 1-2 or anything else, but instead he tried playing hero ball, and it's shown out a lot throughout the season. And it sort of cut through his confidence, and also he's just not making the right plays anymore.
Mm-mm. He's not. And at that point, do you think it might be ego? Because Mbappe, he's coming out right now. He's the top goal scorer in La Liga and looks set to win it. At that point, do you think maybe in Vinicius' head is like, well, I'm supposed to be the top head? Like we said it, we both said it. Like Mbappe might break the dressing room in Real Madrid. Um, at this point, I think it's just Mbappe and Vinicius, but I think it's more of Vinicius' side. I don't. Well, who knows about Mbappe? Because we know he had his fallout at PSG.
Hmm.
But I think right now Vinicius is being like probably the worst guy on the team because he's not playing for the team; he's playing for himself.
Yeah, and the biggest problem is that he went from being the guy on the team to being, Scottie Pippen, and he doesn't like being that.
Not even that, he's bringing Steve Kerr at this point because Jude Bellingham had a horrible start to the season and he picked it up drastically in like come the middle of the season. And they still shout out Jude before they even say Vinicius' name. Vinicius is playing third fiddle. He's pretty much playing Rodrigo.
Well, Rodrigo's not even there anymore.
Yeah, and he's pretty much kind of getting pushed out. And I think sales coming out for Rodrigo finally. And he's gonna
It,
thrive once he leaves to Man City.
and I think even then, at the second half, Rodrigo was on the bench and he wasn't brought on. They brought in a young player from La Castilla instead. And I know reports came out and Ancelotti said that he was sick and came out, but I'm like,
You wouldn't have him on the bench if that was the case.
and he said, oh, I had him on the bench to avoid any scrutiny. If you can avoid scrutiny, might as well not even include him on the bench.
Yeah. And come out with a report like, oh no, he's sick. He has this, he has that. But it just brings up more scrutiny and yeah, it's pretty much said and done. And
Yeah,
pretty much oh go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, yeah, he's mentally checked out. I think he's been mentally checked out since the Copa del Rey where he got subbed out early in the second half for Guler. And because even the last game, I don't think he appeared. And so I think now he's just waiting to talk to Xabi Alonso and see his plans for next season and see if there's like what's his plan. But I fully believe that he's gone this summer.
I was gonna ask, say that like yeah, pretty much. Oh my God, I said it twice. After the match, it got confirmed that Xabi Alonso is going to Real Madrid. Dude,
Mhm.
I don't care. They could bring Xabi Alonso, Mourinho at the same time. I don't care. I believe in Flick. But your boy Guler, dude, people were saying that he was better than Lamine Yamal, and he had a pretty bad match.
Uh, I've I don't know why you're bringing that up because I've never said that. I'm not the type of person to say things when I haven't seen the results to back it up. And I think Guler had maybe has, you know, could possibly have this similar amount of talent, but that doesn't mean anything if he doesn't back it up. I think this game,
I was gonna say, I think he got dealt a bad hand with having to help so much with Lucas Vasquez.
yeah, I think this game was not his fault, but more of the situation that he was put in because he was basically backing up Lucas Vasquez the entire game, tracking back and trying to help him out. And also, he would have to drop back, and when he would get the ball, he would have no outlets because, like I said, Valverde was basically in the defensive line, and Ceballos was lost in the game. So he was trying to look for outlets, and the only outlets he had were either long balls or like through passes to Mbappe, but that was it. And then he would get instantly surrounded by Barca's like swarming uh press. So he had no other choices. And the one choice he did have was pass it to Vasquez, and we all saw how that happened, what happened with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say he pretty much had no choice but just to clear the ball because after that Vasquez back pass, you didn't see him try to pass it back at all.
Yeah.
So, great Clásico. Pretty much goes. It was unnecessary pressure, bro. And like really go down 2-0. And that's where Real Madrid should have taken advantage. But they just decided to fall back and play too deep for some reason. I think that's what bit them in the ass.
Yeah, and as we've seen, well, before Real Madrid would go back and then counter, but this time there was no counters. It was just holding out. And then once you take the lead on Real Madrid, it's not like years before where we could see plays where they'll break down the defense. We haven't seen that at all this year. Because even the third goal came from, who was,
Inigo like not clearing out the ball and try to pass it through the middle. Or like
yeah,
make a risky pass.
yeah, and then it was just a counter. Like all the chances that Madrid had were counters that luckily happened to happen for them.
Two of them
But
were Barca errors. The first one, Cubarsí, and the third one was, yeah, the one we just talked about.
yeah, so we haven't seen at all from Real Madrid this year that they're capable of breaking a team setup in the back. And that's, I think, a big problem that I have mentioned previously that I think we lack a player that can do that. I feel like we have Guler that could possibly do it, but hasn't had the chance because every time he's in, it's just counterattack.
Yeah, pretty much it, dude. Yeah, I think you probably said it best because even then, you would say probably lack in squad depth when it comes to defense because Sure, you guys got Trent Alexander-Arnold for next season, but is he any better than Lucas Vasquez? Probably in the sense of like giving a cross, providing a set piece. And then when it comes to defending, he we everyone knows, even the Premier League fans know, he's not the best defender.
Yeah, and then also I wonder how he's going to fit into Xabi Alonso's system because we still don't know how he's going to set up Real Madrid. Because I've heard conflicting reports saying that oh he's going to bring in the 3-4-3 and that he'll be the right wing back, or that he'll stick to a traditional 4-3-3. Like I still don't know which scenario we're going to get from or system we're going to get from Xabi Alonso. So that's a big difference. And also, I think recruitment's going to be such a big thing because we've needed it for like years now. They have mentioned like we can't keep on going how Real Madrid's been going. Like Perez's current system is flawed because we've gone year after year of oh we bring in one big player and then all the other problems that we have they'll figure themselves out, or we'll just out talent them or just have our brilliance carry us for like a campaign. Like we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, because again, Rudiger's aging. He had two huge injuries to his legs. This pretty much required him to get surgery. Alaba,
He's
his career is pretty
he's
much chalked.
Militao just had two straight ACL injuries. He's not the same player anymore.
And then you have Asensio, but Asensio does lack some things. He does some great things, but he does have flaws in his game that
Yeah, like
he can't lead that back line. As far as right now, again, I don't even know why I said it. He's still young. He can't, doesn't have that commandment yet. But yeah, there's still flaws in his game, and he does get caught off. And then on top of that, it doesn't help that the crowd is against him at this point, and it's already playing a mental toll to his mental health.
yeah, I like I've mentioned before, I think he's a solid player. I think he could probably be a good player, but I just don't see him having the potential of being world class that is required to be at Real Madrid. I think he would be a fine, bench option and bring him off and
Like a
carry on.
Nacho.
Yeah, similarly to like that because I think that's his strong suit. But I to have him start, say he's the next homegrown star for Real Madrid, I just don't see it. I think he's just a really good bench player that we could have. And hopefully during the summer they realize it and get the recruitment because it's so f needed in that back line and even in midfield now too.
Yeah. And as far as Barca, we strongly need fullback depth. You know who would have been perfect? Well, maybe not. I was gonna say Cancelo, but we saw what happened against PSG last year. Um, but yeah, we need fullback depth. I think they are looking at a couple fullbacks at this point, specifically right backs. But as far
But
as left back, I think we do need more competition because Gerard Martin, like you said, he's similar to Asensio. He's not the best player. He's not world class, but he's a solid good player. He does have a great potential when it comes to passing and shooting. He has a great shot when it comes to that. But when it comes to like taking people one on one or playing forward, he does he's very hesitant when it comes to that. Again, he has strong suits, he has his flaws, but in order for Barca, we need another player like Balde to provide that depth on the wing.
Mhm.
So we'll see what they do with that. And also, I think he would probably be fine if we have an actual left winger. Because Rafinha, he plays more of a second striker, let's be honest. He doesn't really take people on too much on the wing. But like a good backup winger, in my opinion, who I think is the perfect fit to take people on would be Jeremy Doku. Like I think he will accept the bench role. Nico Williams, he'll probably want to start, so that wouldn't be make Rafinha happy.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like a good winger like Jeremy Doku will be great for Barcelona.
Well, I've seen that you guys have been linked to Marcus Rashford, and
That too.
he's also very becoming good friends with like some Barca players. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and bring him in, and also probably like get him that escape from England where there's that constant media coverage on every move that he does, because he won't be a star in that Barcelona team. He'll just be another player, which I think is needed for him because since a young kid, he's had, all the pins and hopes of Man U on him, and it's some people just can't handle it.
Yeah. And I did see that there's a report saying that he would significantly reduce the salary, so that'll be helpful. And we'll see what they do. I trust in Flick, and we'll see if they actually have the 1-on-1 rule. and actually could buy players. And then
Uh,
there's also things saying that they might sell Dani Olmo too if there's like an $80 million offer.
well, I've seen reports of both Dani Olmo and Fermin
Mhm.
because they both play similar positions. So I wonder who goes. I prefer, as I've mentioned before, I think Fermin's a better player overall and has better potential, but who knows who stays, who goes. It all depends. But also, I wanted to ask, don't you think it's time to start thinking about a striker? Because as we've seen in the season, Ferran Torres has basically taken over the striking spot in the second half, and Lewandowski is older and is aging out, and it has I've never really thought has fit into the Barca play style.
Mhm.
So wouldn't it be time to start looking for, a new striker up front?
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. So those are pretty much the positions I need: a fullback, left winger, and a striker.
Mhm.
Lewandowski signed his extra year, so after this year, he's pretty much after next year, he's a free agent. But yes, we desperately do need a striker. I wish he didn't sign that 1 year contract or the 1 year extension. This point, I don't know who I'd replace him with because there's right now, I think at one point Barcelona was linked to Jonathan David. He looks like he might go to Napoli. But as Barcelona, I think we need a world-class class striker and one that fits Barcelona, and that person is Julian Alvarez. Do I see Atletico Madrid selling him? No.
And plus, also, I think it became tougher after the season because I think his price just kept on getting higher. Because they
Yeah.
buy him for what, 80 million? I think it takes now 120, 130 for him currently.
So I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. Well, probably maybe next year we might have a chance for him, but this year, no. So as far as replacement, I don't like Jokic. Well, Jokic is cool, but he's more of a similar profile as to Lewandowski. Same thing with Chesko.
Yeah.
So at this point, and then there's Alexander Isak, but he's way too expensive. So I think for now they might just get another backup striker, or even just keep the same strikers and see how it goes next year, to be honest.
Yeah. For me, for Real Madrid, I just hope I've seen reports saying that for the Club World Cup that they're already negotiating to get Trent early. They're willing to pay him about £1 million or whatever to allow him to come a month early from his contract to be able to play. And there's also reports saying that we're going to show up with at least three players. So with a new center back, a left back, and a CDM. I know for those three reports, they've said Subimendi. Um, they're talking with for Carreras, the left back from Benfica, who I think is good, and also the Bournemouth left back, Kirkos,
Hmm.
who I think would be another solid option. And center back, we're linked to a host of them because we're linked to Jonathan Tah, as you guys are, Hodgson, um, Gerald Hato
Hmm.
from Ajax. So I wonder who we get. I hope, in a dreamlike scenario for me, I hope we get two center backs because I think that's what we need for next year. Because and currently we only really have two center backs. Because I don't know about Militao next year or going forward. Because after two ACL injuries, you're no longer the same player as before. We gotta see what he becomes now. Alaba, I don't consider him a player anymore. And then it's just Asensio and Rudiger's coming off an injury. So hopefully we have two center backs to, rotate and give support. And especially if we get into the 3-4-3 system of Xabi Alonso, we're going to need more center backs.
Yeah, definitely. And ball playing center backs, not just any center back. But yeah, I was gonna say Jonathan Tah right now. Bayern Munich launched their first initial offer for Jonathan Tah to join them. So yeah, it looks like there's a sweepstakes for Jonathan Tah. At one point, Barca was pretty much almost guaranteed to get him, but
Mhm.
renewing Araujo, Eddie Garcia staying, and same thing with Christensen. They say he might stay. Um, we don't know, but I hope Barcelona sells Araujo.
Araujo. It's crazy because a couple years ago he was people were arguing for the world's best center back, and now he's just falling off crazily.
Yeah, and we should have accepted that $80 million offer from Juventus this past January. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think those offers are coming anymore.
Maybe they might do Premier League because Liverpool is looking for center backs. But yeah, that was gonna be the next topic. Pretty much Barcelona's what is it? What would you call it? Not downfall, not failure. Um the lack of experience against the Inter Milan game. Again, similar situation. They were down 2-0. Make a comeback. They're up 92nd minute. And then like around the 70th minute, Araujo gets something and somehow they score a game time goal.
Yeah, third goal. I think that was just a lapse of judgment, like I said, and I think, like I said previously, exhaustion hit because again
Oh
during
no,
the
it's
second.
it's not exhaustion, Jesse. You're just fresh on 70 minutes in. Like, how does Araujo get beaten by a 37-year-old who's been playing a full 90 minutes, getting cooked, and then
No,
a
I mean
set?
before.
Oh,
I mean before that, like when they lost the ball, because I feel like that was a lapse of judgment of not getting out of that situation quicker. The Araujo situation, the man got cooked twice in that game.
yeah, the
Once
first one by
by,
Acerbi. Like,
and then
because that's before we go to the second one, that one is just so stupid. I was talking about it with Charlie at the party. Like, he wasn't ever trying to get in front of him. He was hugging him the whole time, even before the cross even came in.
Mhm.
Like, why are you doing that? Like, you know he's trying to go to the first post, beat him to the first post. You let him
Like,
get there, and I'm pretty sure Acerbi was thinking in his head, what is this guy doing? He's letting me get a free touch on the ball.
yeah, he's like as a center back, he's like this is awful defending because you usually want to get in front of your attacker when you're defending to get to the ball first.
Yeah.
But he l willingly let him get in front of himself.
And let him get a free shot on target. It's like it was so stupid. And then the second one, you get cooked by Thuram. He drops his shoulder. Like that was the dumbest defending ever. Like he's going back. Let him go back. Why are
Yeah,
you
he
falling for that? You gave up your position trying to anticipate the ball, and he just cuts back right back. You know what it reminds me of? The Benzema goal in the Champions League final against Atletico Madrid.
yeah.
Same situation, but this time it was one defender. Like
He-
Benzema was already leaving, and then you guys both try to anticipate it, and he just cuts back and goes through the goal and scores. And then even then, Fratesi had the ball. Cubarsí did well to block him, and instead of Araujo trying to like cover the outside angle, he still just stands there. Like, dude, do something. Like, it's so frustrating, bro. And it's because now it's this year of doing that, and then there's last year of the Champions League semifinal or the quarterfinal against PSG, the
yeah.
Barcola incident. That's my biggest flaw. And I don't want to put all the blame on him. There's also inexperience from the Barcelona side, which they'll learn in the future.
Hmm.
Lamine Yamal went for glory. He shot the ball, like again, we would have praised him if it went in, but it hit the
Yeah,
post.
he had I think during that intermatch two clear-cut chances and they one hit the post and the other one he directly hit it straight at Sommer. Like Sommer had a great game, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
It was like he was man of the match clearly. But some of the the shots that were taken against him weren't the best and also weren't like team plays. Like I feel like you said they went for the glory and going for ego instead of for the team.
I'm specifically talking about like the it was like the 92nd minute. He shoots the ball, hits the post, and then Barcelona gets a throw in out of that. And then from that throw in, Barcelona is just like defenses all over the place because they're push too far forward and lose the ball quickly.
Hmm.
It was just it's I say it's lack of experience because at that point in Champions League semifinals, you're up, extra times is happen what is it? Aggregate time is happening. Hold the fucking ball. That's all it is. Like all you got to do is hold the ball, bait fouls, put them in the corner flag, and that's what they and I'm pretty sure they learned a lesson because that's what they were doing at the end of the Real Madrid game this past weekend.
Well, it's like you say lack of experience, but even Barca's older players like Inigo Martinez, this is their first time playing this deep into a Champions League because they haven't had the chance to experience it themselves as well.
Well, Inigo Martinez got subbed out, but Pedri was yelling at the players like hold the ball and like telling everyone to relax. But yeah, Lamine was going forward. Fermin was going forward. It's like, dude, just hold it. Fuck's sake. Like we're playing without our two starting fullbacks. And yeah, shout out to Gerard Martin. The first half, he was playing horrible. But the second half, he was by far one of the best players because, like what I mentioned earlier, he has incredible crosses and knows how to ping a ball.
I think that was the first half.
Yeah. well, I forgot when they scored, but yeah, pretty much one of the assists he gave.
The
No,
corner,
the two of
the
them,
sec, he
both
gave
of the
two.
assists. Yeah, he
Yeah,
gave
I
both
think they
the
were first
assists.
half. Yeah, because the first one was off the free kick and then it came back to him because it was on the opposite side, came back to him. He crossed it back in. I think that was a Daniel Olmo one. And then the second one,
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
think that
matter the
was
order. Yeah, it doesn't matter the
yeah,
order, but yeah, the second one is the same thing. Like he tried to cross it, bounces back to him, and he just pings it back to Eddie Garcia, fullback
yeah,
to fullback.
yeah.
So he like I can't even talk shit and say the loss is on him because he did his best. And on top of that, bro, that's a foul.
Well, that's the thing with uh oh, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm talking about the foul on Dumfries, on Gerard Martin.
Ah, that's not a foul.
He has studs up and scrapes them. That's a foul.
That's not a foul.
And
Spotty
VAR
body.
didn't want to check it. And then
Jerry,
on
what?
top of that, the first
Jerry,
Inter Milan goal hits Mkhitaryan's hand, and that should have been called back.
Jerry, what's the name of the podcast? Play on. This is a
It's a
man's
foul.
game.
It's a foul, bro. You can't tell me otherwise. It's a foul. Then the Lamine Yamal penalty, similar situation. He didn't get knocked down by the first foul. He got knocked down by the second foul, and then they're like, "Oh no, it's in." He like that's what pisses me off. The ref said by this much, it's not a penalty. I'm like, dude, you didn't even look at the monitor. Go look at it.
Yeah, it's not a penalty. Because for those type of fouls, it's the point of contact. That's where the foul is. If he was dragging him, then it continues on to where he lands. But because the point of contact was outside the penalty box, it was a free kick.
And I think we tried to have this argument the other day, and Real Madrid, similar situation, was getting dragged. Hendrick was getting dragged all the way to the box. They get called a penalty because they said it's a continuation of the foul. Same thing with this one. I mean, Jamal kept trying to play. Because he didn't lose his balance when the first initial point of contact, like you said, happened. He didn't fall instantly. He kept going, and then Mkhitaryan took out his right ankle. That should have been a
No,
penalty.
no, he tackled him and then he fell forward.
No, there was a tack. There was a point of it where it was he touches his foot, right? That's the point of contact, and then he just continues it, and that's where he fucking kills him.
No, but that's not how it goes. That's for holding, because if they hold him, then it keeps on going. But if it's a tackle like that, it's a point of contact and that's where it stays.
I disagree. I disagree. And clearly UEFA does too, because they stripped the final from that referee and the Club World Cup. So there's controversies. The conspiracy is, Jesse, that they wanted a Champions League winner to be at the Club World Cup, and they're pretty much gonna get it because now it's PSG and Inter Milan going to it.
Well, Jay, we all know that UEFA's corrupt because how is Inter Miami at the Club World Cup?
Lies, dude. They won the what's it called? What's that competition they went over the summer with the Liga MX? It's clearly
I,
not a CONCACAF Champions League. I forgot what it's called. The
I
Leagues
could,
Cup. They won the Leagues Cup, dude.
what does that have to do with anything?
Let's cut right there. It's like a minute left. Hey, dude. They won it, dude. It means something. All right, now for the second match in the Champions League, the other semifinal, PSG versus Arsenal. I'm gonna be honest, Jesse. I'll tell you what I saw from Arsenal. I saw them trying to win off set pieces to the point where it was in the second or fifth minute, and they were trying long ball throw-ins. That's when I knew PSG was gonna win the match. Because yeah, Arsenal didn't bring anything.
Yeah, I think it's as we mentioned beforehand, PSG were the better team.
No, no, no. I think Arteta said the best team
Oh,
lost.
oh yeah, my bad, my bad. Arteta did crash out on two interviews, and he did mention in that interview that Arsenal were the best team in the Champions League by far, and that they deserved to win this draw, and that it was unjust the result, even though they played the better in both legs. Now, I don't know if you ever seen Delusion, but that right there is Delusion.
It's so bad, bro. Like, how do you have I'm gonna say, how do you have the balls to sit up there and say that? Like you produced one goal over two legs, while the other teams in the other matchup were producing. how many goals? 7 and 6 each.
Yeah.
Like you weren't. And PSG, like, granted, they have a fantastic attack. Their one flaw is their defense because they have one good center back, which is Marquinhos, and then the fullbacks, which are constantly up, so you could exploit that. He couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that he was known for playing good football, attractive football, and as we've seen, he has deteriorated to this awful football that we've currently seen, where they are constantly playing second fiddle to a team that's better than them, which a lot of teams are. And he doesn't know how to, have his players do anything else because it's basically come down to, oh, my players are athletically better than yours and they're gonna run more.
I'll say it right now, today, Arteta is a modern off-brand Mourinho. Because the one thing you can't say for this is why I said he's off-brand and like a Timo version of Mourinho. Because Mourinho can win things. Arteta can't. Arteta just plays like Mourinho, his play style, which is defend low block and that's it. Compared to Mourinho, he does that, but he wins. Because, like, sure, Jesse, I could come in there and tell you everyone to just sit back and that's it. But what Mourinho does differently is he knows how to tell the players, all right, when it comes to when we finally get the ball and we're countering, this is what you do, this is what you exploit. And he knows how to like analyze tape. And whereas Arteta, he can't. Like it's simple, just attack the fullback spot and that's it. And if anything, attack the weak center back, which is opposite of Marquinhos, who has very little experience. But you can't do that, Jesse. You can't.
Yeah, it's just surprising to me how Arsenal fans keep mentioning his name among the best coaches in the world, how they keep mentioning the squad, how they keep having this illusion that they're going to win anything when it's been not one, not two, but 3 years of his squad underperforming and them celebrating that they have gotten second place, made it to the second semifinal of a Champions League, uh, and haven't won a single trophy yet, besides his first season or his second season where he won an FA Cup, and saying that they've had a successful run.
It's so disrespectful. And then you know what's the biggest disrespect too? Because I forgot which footballing like account posted this. They did club legends going back to their clubs to manage. And if it's like a thumbs up or a thumbs out on how they did for their performance seasons. They give, I think one of the highest rated ones was Arteta coming back to Arsenal and making them compete. And they gave a Xavi at Barcelona one of the worst ones. When granted, Xavi had a horrible fall off, but he took a ninth place Barcelona, put him back into second, and then he beat Real Madrid, who hence won the Champions League. I think the year before, or the year after. He what Xavi did was huge. Did he fall off? Yes, but what he did, he's 10 times the manager that Arteta is.
It's crazy because people always seem to forget this one thing. It's they always say he hasn't had the recruitment, but Arsenal have been one of the biggest spenders consistently in the Premier League, and they say, oh, he doesn't get the players he wants. These are all his players. He gets his players. He spends absorbent amount, but then he also get falls off with players because he doesn't know how to handle relationships and gets rid of them, because it's insane how this excuse keeps on being used. Because how they spent what 70 million for Havertz, they spent 100 million for Declan Rice. They paid 40 million for what's his name, the Belgian guy, the forward.
Trossard,
Trossard. They brought in Calafiori for
Ben White,
they brought in Ben White, they brought in Timber, they brought Raya. They've brought in all these players and yet
nothing to show for it.
nothing to show for it. And it's not like they were cheap. They've spent money.
And granted, Xavi couldn't spend pretty much a dime. They had to negotiate players to come for free on loan. But going past that, at this point, we talked about it. This is Man City's worst season ever. And they're about to finish in second place, where Arsenal is supposed to be one of their best seasons ever, one of the best squads in the world. They're about to finish in third in the Premier League. So Arsenal, they have no excuse, and they have to. If I were Arsenal's board of directors, I would have a serious conversation about having Arteta sacked just because he's not producing the results.
Well, no, the Arsenal fans are have already come out defended him. They said no, they want that they're sticking by him for another season because they believe that they're gonna do it. That they've needed maturing because they've always used the excuse that it was a young squad. Bukayo Saka is still coming into himself, and now they're also saying that they have now another young players that are going to develop and carry them next year with Ethan Nwaneri, who they've compared with Lamine Yamal, and then Lewis Skelly,
Had
and
a
it's
horrible performance in the Champions League semifinal.
yeah, and then also they've also Arteta also called out and said, oh, uh, what was it? That last year Arsenal finished with more points than Liverpool finished this year, so it goes to show that they were a better team last year. What does that have to do with anything with this current season? You have basically the same amount of the same players as last year, then why didn't you produce the same results?
Who knows, dude? And it's just so frustrating too, because Arsenal's biggest problem is everyone knows it, dude. The whole footballing world. I think if you show a newbie like the Arsenal squad and ask them what they need, what do they need, Jesse?
A striker. They've needed a striker for years that we both
Who
called
did they
out.
buy? Who did they just recently buy? Because Fabrizio Romano just said, "Here we go."
Uh, I can't tell you.
Defensive mid.
Oh,
Another defensive
defensive mid.
fucking mid.
Oh yeah.
Subimendi. Why are you buying a defensive mid?
Jerry, they're going for the ultimate low block.
Like, it's so dumb, bro. Like, and at this point, like again, I've had empathy for Arsenal. I've one point wanted them to win the Premier League. Now I don't because I don't know what they're doing.
Jerry, I told you you joined the hate riot against them for a while, and you're finally seeing the light. Because they've had how many chances to sign a striker, and they've all turned them down, saying, no, we don't need it. They said, oh, our wingers, they produce better than any other striker in the world at the moment. Martinelli has fallen off a cliff. Saka has gotten injured and hasn't produced the same. At certain points, you have to wonder if Saka's even the type of star player that carries the team to win. He
Not
might be,
even that.
he might even be better as a second, second star.
That and also you gotta question what Odegaard's thinking with the squad. If I'm Odegaard and we're going into the next year and I already see that they're buying another defensive mid, I am questioning what the club's doing and what direction they're trying to go for because clearly it's not winning. He knows he needs a striker. Why are they buying another defensive mid? I would be, if I was Odegaard, I would be considering leaving that team just because I wouldn't take him serious.
Well,
At this
also,
point, Chelsea is at a better position than them
yeah, I would agree.
because
Because
at least they buy strikers and are trying them out compared to
well,
fucking
well,
Arsenal.
well, they buy wingers. They buy left wingers.
But then again, they have a decent amount of strikers. They have Nkunku, not a true striker, but at least he's a forward that
Well,
can
he's
play
leaving.
striker. He's leaving, but Nico Jackson, and then who's the other one? Broja or
Mark Gui.
Margui. So at least they're trying and trying to fill that position. Compared to Arsenal, they're gonna play with Mikel Merino as striker next season, and I'm gonna laugh.
Well, I think the biggest problem for Arsenal was that one season where they were supposedly playing attractive football is when that was like when Shaka was there, which was like over 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and he was providing a creative outlet besides Odegaard. And then after he left, Arteta didn't resolve that issue and just decided we're playing with two CDMs instead now. And as we've seen, the common thing for teams to realize, oh, the creative outlet is Odegaard. We shut that down. They basically just rely on set pieces the entire time and Saka to do something. Like, why hasn't Arteta realized this and tried playing another creative midfielder in that left CM spot and, provide some support for Odegaard? But it's just like, he's like, nah.
It's a friendship league, Jesse. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we'll finally leave the Arsenal rant because they're just annoying. PSG, well, you can't say enough. Like we've
Well,
said it that this is pretty much their tournament to win.
We said it even since last year when we are like, oh, Mbappe's leaving. They're going to be better next year because they have all the talent in the world. And they in the summer they even got better because they bought Desiree Doué. They brought in Joao Neves. They recruited really well, and they have a very talented young squad, and it's all starting to click together. And I think we both are thinking this. They're probably the favorites to win the Champions League final because I just don't see how any other team in the world stops them.
Yeah, and people would have called us crazy if they heard that video and us calling on PSG one of the best teams to win it. I think our biases got in front of it, but I think we both clearly said like I think the best chances for anyone to win this is PSG. It's theirs to win.
Yeah,
And honestly, we shouldn't even get into predictions, but I think they're gonna win it just because again, Inter Milan is just getting scored on way too much, more than they're
Mhm.
used to. So yeah, PSG just does incredible things. And then on top of that, they didn't even have Dembele at full fitness. They just brought him in and he's pretty much produced instantly.
yeah. Like we look at their squad, and it's so stacked. Like their forward line really great. Like Desiree has who, because it's surprising because to begin the season we thought Barcola was going to take that step up and become a star, and he's sort of taken a step back because Desiree has taken away from him, and that's crazy to say because Barcola has crazy amount of talent,
Hmm.
and then they still have Lee Kang in. They sent Marco Asensio out on loan because there wasn't enough space for him. Like they still have forwards in that bench that would start on most other teams.
And then Luis Enrique as a coach, he just knows exactly what to do, especially with like a high-powered offensive team like they have. He knows how to use them correctly. You know, he had MSN at one point and had him clicking at all cylinders when Suarez was the striker and Messi was a false nine. He convinced Messi to play at the wing and just produced amazing football. And now he's doing the same thing at PSG. He has full control and has no one pretty much not defending. He you know, Mbappe refused to do it. And
Yeah,
Dembele just fully bought in, and it looks like it's Dembele's team, to be honest.
yeah, especially since the turn of the year. Ever since then, he has what like 30 GA.
No,
Like
like
he's
40. He has 40 plus.
yeah, like he's really turning it up a notch. He's been playing like the best player in the world during stretches. It's crazy to see because it's finally he's finally hitting the potential that we've all known for years
And I've
and
been
have
saying it,
seen.
me and Charlie have said it, dude, that Dembele is a better player than Mbappe. The eye test. Mbappe, he's a fantastic finisher on the left side. But Dembele, he could play on either side. So that's why I'm saying he was a better player. And now it's coming into fruition. Me and Charlie look like geniuses. And yeah. But my bad, I cut you off. I just had
I
to say that because, people were calling us crazy at one point.
yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say.
My bad.
No, it's good.
But
Uh,
yeah, dude, PSG just at no point did they look like they were in danger.
Yeah, no. And especially with Donnarumma finally starting to hit the form that we saw like from the Euro, he's finally showing that his shot stopping ability is like one of the best in the world.
Hmm.
And then also look, PSG is gonna have a bit of trouble because he only has 1 year left on his contract and people are like sniffing around trying to take him away.
Go to Barca. Because yeah, th at this point, he either has to re-sign or you're getting benched. That's how PSG works because they're not a selling club.
Yeah, they don't like selling though. They only do it and if it's really favorable for themselves.
That's true. But yeah, we have a Champions League final of Inter Milan versus PSG. Some people are saying it's a horrible final. I don't mind it at all. I think it's a clash of two different styles, which is cool to see.
That's just English fans complaining about no English team making it to a final, which
I'm glad. And by the
yeah.
way, what did Luis Enrique say in his interview after the Champions League game versus
Uh, I
Arsenal?
I can't remember.
That they reminded him that they pretty much ran through all the English
Oh yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, yeah, and like we're a farmers league, by the way, farmers.
Yeah.
And he just exposed who the true farmer league is, and it's Premier League players team.
Well, we've been saying that it's just basically been Man City. Man City's basically been the only one that's put up numbers in uh European competitions and the Champions League specifically, and everyone else always just gets knocked out instantly.
Liverpool is a little bit up there, but we'll see how
And
they go.
Well, even Liverpool's run to the final was kind of, not that crazy because when they played against Real Madrid, what the semifinal was Villarreal, and then before that, I think were lower tier teams as well.
And then the one final they did win was it the Tottenham one?
Yeah, against Spurs.
And speaking of Spurs, they are in the Europa League final versus Man U. The 16th and 17th in the Premier League are facing each other in the European competition, and that is horrible to see.
Yeah, that's crazy to see. And it's both seasons or both coaches are really relying on this result to be able to keep their job for next year because
I
they
think one
have
of them more than the other.
I think Ange for sure needs this win more than Amorim because Amorim might get a bye for this year because of him coming mid-season, having to implement a new system. But Manu has done craziest things. So
And
yeah,
I
I
hope
think
Tottenham wins, Jesse. I hope Tottenham wins just so I could laugh at Arsenal fans' face and say, like, they won a trophy on your best quote unquote season.
yeah, they won a trophy and they've won a European trophy before Arsenal because Arsenal they've never been champions of Europe.
So, let's hope for that. But I think it'll be an interesting matchup because slowly but surely, those two teams, granted where they're at in the Premier League, they have been performing a little bit better. I give Tottenham a what is it? A blind eye, just because they had a lot of injuries, and I think Poch is just a great coach. Not Poch, Ange.
Yeah.
And Amorim, eh, it's still not his teams, but it's great what he's doing with the team currently when he doesn't have full control of it.
And also, I think the biggest thing is over the weekend, Lenny Yoro picked up a knock, so he might be questionable for that final.
Yeah, their best center back, and he's been performing as everyone thought he would be when he first arrived. And yeah, he's a great ball playing center back. Someone called him a Gerard Piqué regen, but I'll tell you that after the podcast what they compared him to. But yeah, he's playing great. And then Harry Kane, Ballon d'Oro, best winger in the world.
Harry Kane?
Not Harry Kane, Harry Maguire.
I was like Harry Kane.
Harry Maguire, dude, he's running down that wing.
Dude, it's like we've seen before. Manu just ruins careers because Scott McTominay should have been a striker. Harry Maguire should have been a front.
A winger. Would have been competing with Lamine Yamal, Mo Salah, Jeremy Due, everyone. But yeah, and then the other final is Real Betis versus Chelsea in the Conference League final.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then if you love football, you're all rooting for Real Betis to win that because let's be honest, like a $1 billion squad versus like a hundred or $200 million squad.
Well, they're gonna have to get by the EPL reject Anthony, who's playing like the in the form of his life, and he might cause some trouble to that Chelsea team.
And I hope it does. I didn't even then I just hope, the actual teams that are supposed to be there, like the lower sides of what is it, footballing world, like the Real Betis, the Mallorcas, and all those get the chance to win an actual silverware compared to Chelsea. You're spending millions of dollars, like I think 1 billion over the course of 2 years or 3 years. You should not be in that competition.
I think what Mudryk costs the same as the entire squad or
Pretty
Enzo
much
Fernandez.
close. I think both of them combined would all three of them, like their midfielder. It's just absurd, dude. I don't know why they're in there, but yeah. Um, Barcelona and Real Madrid play this midweek. If Barcelona wins, they win the La Liga, and then Real
Officially,
Madrid,
yeah.
if they lose or tie, they lose, and in
Yeah.
Barca, the result doesn't matter.
And then we'll give you some matchups that we think are worth looking at.
Mhm.
Uh, on Wednesday, it's the Coppa Italia final, Milan versus Bologna.
Who do you got, Jesse?
I'll go for Bologna just because I've been going against Milan for a while. So, keep the trend.
I'll go with Milan. They have a little bit of momentum right now. They won a couple matches, dragging them together, but sadly they're losing their coach, so we'll see what they do next year. But yeah, I think this is probably their saving grace.
Yeah, the last of match, I think the most recent one was against Milan Bologna in the league. and Milan won 3-1. So hopefully Bologna get some revenge for that.
That's another match.
Uh, well, on Wednesday it's Real Madrid versus Mallorca, so we'll see how that turns out. And then Wednesday is Espanyol Barca, so that one's gonna be tough because that's a Catalan derby.
And they'll be if Barca wins it again, they win the champions. They're the champions of Spain, but on top of that, they'll be the second year in a row that they win it in the Espanyol's stadium. And the first time they won it there, pitch
What?
invaded it.
Yeah, it was
Pitch
not
invaders
pretty.
happened. But it would have been cool if we would have beat it against Real Madrid, you know. But is what it is.
And then on Friday, both Aston or Spurs and Man U play it in consideration that they have the Europa League final. What was it, Wednesday
The
next
following
week,
week.
the following week? And there it's Aston Villa versus Spurs and Chelsea versus Man U. I believe both squads are just gonna rotate and not play, their starters just because, the final is upcoming and they won't want to risk it since they're both at the bottom of the table and they have nothing to gain from it, which is not good for me because I need
hmm
Chelsea to lose.
Hey, you're a huge Nico Jackson fan last weekend. Got the red card, pretty much sealed the deal for Chelsea losing,
Yeah, maybe someone else gets a red card.
maybe. In Serie A, there's a couple good matchups. What is it? Inter versus Lazio.
Yeah, that will be on Sunday. It's Inter Lazio because it's the only league that's unresolved for now from the Big Five because there's only a 1 point difference and there's 2 games left.
hmm And
Besides
it's
these, it's Lazio, Inter, who Lazio's in fifth, and it's uh Parma versus Napoli,
yeah,
who are in the bottom table.
and Napoli would have been cruising, but they tied the last game, and Johan Vasquez, the Mexican center back, scored a game-tying goal to help Inter a little bit. But yeah, pretty much Napoli has to do something and not choke this.
Yeah, basically both teams are in a they have to win now situation because there's only 2 fixtures left, including this one. So one loss basically means it could be over.
And this past weekend too, we saw Jesse for the first time. Oh, I think the whole world saw Harry Kane lift this trophy for the first time ever, and it looks photoshopped. I'll tell you that.
It's not real. It's not real. I believe it's not real.
AI, but yeah. Any other
Uh,
matchup?
Saturday, the FA Cup final, Crystal Palace versus Man City.
Who do you got?
I'll give it a Crystal Palace, go for the underdog, make things fun. What about you?
I don't know. I'm conflicted. Man City did lose last year to Man U. Crystal Palace. I'm gonna go with you with Crystal Palace just because I do see them having a little bit more passion to try to win that competition. Whereas Man City, I don't think all the players are fully bought in. And there's issues with Man City this year.
Yeah, plus I think it'll be funny because it'll make the story more interesting for the end of the season. Because if Crystal Palace wins the FA Cup, they qualify for the Europa League, so it's gonna make that board even more or more funny than it currently is because there's still all the teams are still fighting for spots.
It would be. And by the way, we just found out too, Dallas Mavericks have the first overall pick. The NBA is rigged. I don't want to hear it. They got rewarded for their stupid trade, and the Bulls are still mediocre.
How are the Mavs after doing everything they did to tank or to bomb their squad that made it to the finals last year by sending Luka Doncic away, get rewards and get Cooper Flag? That's that's insanity.
It is. It is. It just baffles me, dude. Makes no sense. Like, do a stupid trade, get rewarded. At this point, the Bulls should trade everyone for stupid things and see if we get rewarded for it. Because
Might as well.
weren't the Mavs, they were in the play-in tournament. How the hell does that even happen?
Let me let me look up the odds that
There was it was a 1.8 chance for them to get number one pick. The Bulls were 1.7, so they were like pretty much both in the same spot just because of the play-in tournament.
so we were I know we were 14th,
Yeah, we were 14.
so they were 13th and they jumped all the way to number one.
No, they
Yeah.
were 15. I think they were 15. Here,
The
I'm
lottery's
checking.
only the lottery's only until 14.
Oh, right. Checking Tankathon. Yeah, they moved up 10 spots, so they were like 11th. So, yeah. Jesse, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
This is why I don't like watching NBA anymore.
Yeah, it's rigged. It's rigged. But yeah, on that note, I don't think I have anything else. It just kind of threw me off so bad. You got anything?
If Barcelona somehow loses against Espanyol, and if we win, the next match for them would be Barca versus Villarreal at home to finish off the season, and we'd still have to beat Sevilla.
And quickly, some confirmed transfers that already happened. Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid as a new head coach. Zubimendi to Arsenal. Do you have any other transfers?
Ancelotti has become the first foreign Brazil coach. His son will not be following him. He'll be looking for head coaching gigs elsewhere. And also, it looks like Rodrigo will be out of Real Madrid in the summer unless Xabi Alonso convinces him. But I would say it's more 80 him leaving, or 90% he will leave and 10% he stays because he kind of looked phased out.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for all the support. We've been getting a little bit more consistent views. Shout out to you guys. Again, if you guys have any questions or want us to talk about anything specifically, let us know in the comments. We appreciate you. We're gonna start uploading to TikTok, and that's the first thing I'm gonna do after this video. Peace.
Peace.